Welcome back, everybody. So you might be a little bit surprised to see this lady sitting on my table today. And that is because when we did our store walkthrough in Home Depot, I believe I might have called her a miss, that I didn't really quite think she was a good prop. But I think some of the qualities that I did not like in the store actually are going to work perfectly in my haunt. So after mulling it over for a little while, I had to go back in search of her, and I had to go to like 7 or 8 Home Depots to find her, because if you've been trying to find any of the good props at Home Depot this year, you'll find they're just wiped out. So I was lucky to finally find her, and hopefully I'll have some good luck finding some of those other props I've been looking for. It's a challenge. Anyway, I'm happy that I have her. She is the 6-foot Graven Bones animated Haunting Ghost Bride. So I actually kind of liked the her dress because I'm doing a Day of the Dead theme, and I kind of thought that it would work well, this sort of floral motif, with my Day of the Dead atmosphere. So we'll see about that toward the end of the video. But for now, let's just take another look at the box here. It says she rises and sways side to side, which I thought was a little odd in Home Depot. But now I think it's going to be perfect, because my concept is really to have her standing behind a coffin with my little skeleton guy there in it, and she'll be wailing. So what I really liked about this, aside from the fact that it's sound activated, it has spooky sound effects, it's compatible with, oh no, DC adapter not included. Don't know about that. All right, but it requires 4 AA batteries. Okay, so that's not too bad, sold separately. But this is what I really liked here. It says it has a timer that's 55 seconds on. And remember, in the video, I was like, is this thing ever going to end? Now we know it's only 55 seconds. But that's perfect for me because it has a 5-minute timer. So it's going to do that every 5 minutes. And basically, I'm going to have her kind of in the middle of my party area as kind of a focal point. And this way, about every minute or every 5 minutes, she's going to be moving. So no matter how many times people filter in and out, they're likely to catch her. And I'm happy about that. So the rest of the box just kind of shows you she is 6 feet tall. A little taller than the average person, it looks like. She wails, and she's got a creepy face, which I'm probably going to end up covering up. So let's go ahead and unbox, or open the box, and see what we find inside. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and start pulling things out. Uh-oh, it looks like she's kind of tied to some piece of cardboard here. So let's go ahead and pull that off. Hopefully it is, oh, this is kind of neat. Here's the base piece. I kind of like this fabric that covers it, because one of my big pet peeves is when you can see, this metal support structure on the bottom. I usually use some creepy cloth, throw it on there, or some other sort of props, like if I have my Headless Horseman guy, I will just cover it all up with some creepy cloth and then stack some skulls or something on there. That way you don't see it. So I really love that they are being proactive in our haunts and making sure it all looks perfect. And here's the big reveal. All right. I love her creepy face, but we can't quite see it yet. All right. Behind her, we'll come back to her in a moment, we have some support pieces. We've got the body mechanism. And then we have, I don't know if this is just a bag for the pieces or if this is actually like part of her dress. Oh, I think this, I don't know, kind of looks like it could be her dress. I don't know. Guess we'll find out in a moment. So we have more pieces. All right, so let's go ahead and pull apart her arms. Her dress falls down. All right, so that other black piece clearly wasn't part of her dress. Looks like she's never put bags over your heads, children. This is a bad example. All right, she's got a lot of veil here. A little creepy face. Look how scary she is. I almost hate to cover her up with any sort of Day of the Dead mask, but I'm going to. But we'll get to that later. The only thing that I don't see here are some instructions. Funny story, actually. I saw her at my main Home Depot, a box that it looked like it had been opened and perhaps returned. And I actually didn't purchase that one. That's why I went into like 7 or 8 other stores to finally find one that was full. And the reason I didn't buy her is because I was a little afraid that it might be missing something, kind of like instructions. So a lot of good that did, because we are going to have to figure this out ourselves. Wow, okay. All right, well, let's see what happens here. All right, took me half a minute to figure this out, but I think I got it. It looks like we're going to need to match up the letters. So there's A's on here, A's on here. I'm guessing then that we connect the A pipe to the A pipe. All right, just snaps in. Seems pretty easy. We have a wire here that says F, and then we've got a G. And then we've got this thing that says C. And here's a spring that I guess we connect to the other spring. Home Depot, I am not happy right now. All right, I'm gonna have to move this table out of the way, clear myself some space, see if we can figure this out. Before we assemble this, I did go ahead off camera and put in the batteries. I did have to fight with this battery compartment a little bit, just like the last animatronic I bought from Home Depot. There's something about the screws that they use that don't go in and out very easily. So it took me a little while to get that taken care of, but we added the 4 AA batteries. But here in this box, you can see there's also an on-off switch, as well as you can put it on-off, which is a foot pad timer if you have that connected. And then the regular timer, which will, as it said, go off every 5 minutes. There is a speaker jack in case you want the audio to surround sound, maybe? I have no idea. A volume control, which I love because oftentimes I don't want to hear the animatronics when they have horrible background music or sound effects or anything like that. There is the jack for an electrical plug if you want to do that. And then, of course, a jack for the foot pad. So on the back, we've got lots of little mechanisms here, and I don't know much about the whole mechanics behind all of these, so we're just going to ignore those for now and just start assembling. So again, we are just matching up the letters A to A. So here's B. Guessing this must be B. So here's the B. Go ahead and snap that in. All right. As you can see, if you can see, it's a little hard to see in the video there. There's a spring hanging down here, and there's a spring here at the bottom as well that we have to connect to. Now, we're matching up the letters, which let's go ahead and just finish that real quick before we get to the springs. So this is a C and a D. Here is a D, so the D obviously is going to go with that. There's this little bar hanging down here, which is a C. Slip it back through that hole, and then down here. Ha! All right, so I think that's it for the poles, but now we have these springs. So the springs have a blue and just a little sticker and a yellow sticker. There's a tiny little hook here in the middle of this bar that has a blue sticker on it. So I clearly think this spring just attaches to that little blue sticker. And then for the yellow one, all right, so there's another little hook right here at the middle of this one. It doesn't have any stickers on it, but I can't figure out any other way this might go. So I think that's just for stability, and obviously with the springs on right now, it does in fact feel a lot more stable. So the only thing we have to do now is put on the body. We do have this wire sticking out the bottom that is labeled F. There is a long wire coming out of the body of the bride. All right. It is actually sewn into the hem of the dress. I suppose if we wanted to, we could rip it out, but that's probably there for a reason, so we're not going to do that. Let's go ahead and just connect it now. And then we need to stick her body onto the pole, which is a little more challenging now that there's wires all connecting it. But as you can see, there is a piece of plastic piping here that just slips over the top of that hole, and there is of course one of these little pushy button thingies that we need to line up, so at least we know which way it goes. All right, she is connected. Let's go ahead and pull her dress down, give her some modesty here. And now we just need to fluff. So there are on the bottom of the, this nice little piece of fabric they have on the bottom, there is a little piece of Velcro. So I'm assuming there must be some Velcro here along the bottom of her dress somewhere. But that could be a bad assumption. Don't know what it's for. I don't think you really need to Velcro it down anyway. I think it'll be fine without it. Unless you're putting it outside, somewhere windy, which, by the way, it did have on here that it's good for inside use or outside covered use. I get a lot of questions about that in comments all the time, as if I have any clue. I put things out in the rain all the time, and they tend to do fine, but officially you're not supposed to do that. Her veil actually has several layers, so I kind of like that. It gives it a very nice dimensional look. And if you wanted to keep her face covered too, you could throw some of the veil in front of her. I don't know. So her arms are a little skimpy and deflated. I think we could do a little better than that. I do like that she's got this little bouquet of black roses. Her hands have a nice crackle too. I think in the picture there, they have her arms sticking way out, so that's just what we're gonna do. That's what she should do when we turn her on. So before we go ahead and turn her on, let's bring the camera in and we'll take a closer look. Okay, here we go. Let's first take a quick look at her face. It is super creepy with the sort of mascara running down her eyes. And then look at the cracked skin that she has there, like she's either one of those creepy demons, or she's a rotting corpse, or a baby doll with some cracked finish. Her dress has some red in it. It kind of looked very black and white on the box. I do like the accent of the red though. Moving down her dress, it's got a bit of a print that's black. It kind of makes it look like it's got layers. And then toward the bottom, you see the floral print repeated in black, which also you can see on the arms. Let's take a look at the hands. It's got a little bit of a lace trim at the wrist. You can't bend the fingers, unfortunately. The other hand, we have the roses. I almost wish they had given her red roses. It might have made it a little more visible. You do kind of lose it amongst all of the black. Her hand is all creepy. So, lastly, I guess the veils and the back. So, there are lots and lots of flowing veils, but otherwise the back is pretty solid. And her hair is, of course, black as well. It's actually very soft. So it is nice that they put the control mechanism at the base so it's easy to get to. It's on the back side. So let's go ahead and turn her on and see what happens. Let's see. There's no indication on the box which way is high or low. So obviously now she's on low. But she can go very high. For my purposes, I think I'm going to leave her off, or the sound off. You can kind of hear it now, but I'm not a big fan of the sound. So she kind of obviously sways, which is, again, I think going to be perfect for me because I want a wailing bride that has just lost her husband. So that works for me. But I think typically what they'd intended is for this to be like behind a tombstone. So you would see her rise above the tombstone and wail. But wow, she stands very tall when she's in the off position. Which, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. So, oh, there she goes again. She is sound activated. Oh, because I had her on. So when she's on, she's sound activated. If I had put her on timer, it would just go every 5 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn her off and see what she's going to look like with a little bit of my concept in place. So if she were in a graveyard behind a tombstone, she would look awesome. I think this might be one of those situations where the concept in my mind for my project might not really work in reality the way I wanted it to. She definitely has a lot of floating motion like a ghost, which is not really what I wanted because I wanted her to be more of an alive character. So I was kind of hoping she was just more like wailing back and forth instead of the floating up and down, so there's that. The other super disappointing thing is it's very loud. It's like you're running a vacuum cleaner or something in your house. It's way too much noise for those motors. So I think Home Depot, you really need to do better on that. In my situation here, she might end up just being a static prop, standing like this, or maybe I could just live with it because again, she goes for 55 seconds every 5 minutes. Maybe we'll just deal with it. That could be kind of creepy too because she'll always end up in a different position. I noticed that she doesn't always stop in the same place. So, you know, it'll be that kind of little jarring movements if somebody didn't notice her moving but she came back, or they came back and she's in a different position. That could be uber creepy in itself. Or again, she just looks good, you know, standing as it is. So she was $100 at Home Depot. That's not a bad price, I think, for an animatronic, especially one with this big range of movement and the different motors. But clearly they cheaped out with the motors. Obviously they had to make it for a price point, and to meet that they used not excellent quality materials. I don't know if there's anything we could do about that. Maybe we could stuff the inside of her skirt a little bit more with something to sound dampen it. Like these arms, really, they could use some pool noodles or something to give them a little bit of bulk. They kind of flatten. They've got some sort of padding in here, but you know, it just kind of squishes down and kind of becomes like a flat arm, and it just doesn't look good. Her face looks amazing though. It is just paint. I mean, that's not any real texture. So they've done a real good job on that. I'm impressed. Don't really love the flowers. But again, it's $100, so what can you expect? I'm okay with it. My concept originally was that she was one of 3 sisters in love with this gentleman here, and it is Day of the Dead, and they are actually trying to bring him back to life on Day of the Dead. So, now that she looks more ghostly, I might have to kind of rework that in my head a little bit. Maybe she's dead too and she is a ghost. I don't know. If you have any thematic thoughts, let me know. But that'll do it for today. Till next time, take care. Thanks for watching. Happy haunting.